Hacknet, Tech Support Unknown. All of these guys I used to like spend hours playing them. So like
yeah, man, nice. Glad you like it.
It instantly clicked. Uplink. I remember there was one that I used to play a lot. Uplink. Uplink was probably the most famous out of them.
Yeah, Watch Dogs was also a pretty big inspiration for a lot of the guys on our team as well.
Yeah, Watch Dogs, of course. Played. Actually, the first one isn't as bad as people always say it is. I actually enjoyed one much more than two. Legion is nice. Legion is
There's
nice.
some cool things, yeah. Yeah, glad you enjoyed it, man, and glad you could get out there and give it a shot. So I think we've got some masks ready for some of your beta testers as well. I think to go out there and give it a test.
Once everything settles down after your guys' launch and everything, it would be like, because again with the masks and everything with the decals, and everything you guys have, the project honestly is perfectly set up to be like a marketing sponge, so you can just do with it whatever you want. So I feel like setting up like a Polkastarter or Polkastarter Gaming like mask and then doing a campaign around it. And I'm not sure if you heard of OVR.
No, I'm not sure.
So OVR is another very similar.
Yes, OVR, yes.
Yeah. So they're another crypto project as well. Very similar in concept, where you walk around, you collect points, and then these points you can redeem them for stuff as well. And their main point of attraction is mostly the NFT collection campaigns that they do, where you get to like walk around and collect as many points from that specific collection's logo or whatever. So I feel like something like that, where specific areas randomly spawn that are differently colored or differently branded, that the wallets inside them can maybe like grant you even that project's token, which can lift off pressure from your token as well.
Yeah, so I guess we'll talk about it in a minute, but one of the things that we have coming up are our personal drones. And so, yeah, like actually people will go out and hack different areas, collect different parts for their drones. And so, yeah, we could do like country-specific project collaborations. We're going to do something with the guys from Phantom Galaxies again, who are good friends of the project. So, yeah, man, I'm super keen.
Perfect. Second, let me pull it up. Perfect. So we're actually live. We'll wait a few minutes and we'll get started.
Cool. Good to be here, man.
Perfect. Pleasure having you, man. We'll do a proper introduction. We'll do everything in a minute as well.
Nice. Yes.
Perfect. So I'll start with just welcoming everybody here as well. People are starting to say hi in the chat. So I'll get started with just letting everyone know what we're going to be discussing here today. Of course, we have Ben with us, the CEO and co-founder of DeFi. What we're going to go through today is we're going to go through the founding team and the devs of DeFi, DeFi's project in general, and the product that they're delivering, which is a very, very interesting game. The Web3 gaming scene, which if you're a fan of Polkastarter and Polkastarter gaming, you're very familiar with the Web3 gaming scene. DeFi's roadmap and their token utility. And at the end of the live stream, we're going to end it off with a live Q&A session for everyone in the chat if they have any questions. And of course, we have an 𝗬𝗏. So we have an exclusive 𝗬𝗏 NFT. 𝗬𝗏 stands for On-Chain Achievement Tokens, created for 300 participants. We will randomly pick 3 𝗬𝗏 winners to give away 3 allow list spots. To claim, you can simply join the live stream, fill in the Google form with your email, and then halfway or somewhere during the live stream, I'm going to give away a secret word that you need to submit in the Google form to be entered into the 𝗬𝗏 NFT as well. So let's start off with welcoming Ben, again, the CEO and co-founder of DeFi. Please, Ben, take the mic.
Nice. Thanks, Mustafa, and thanks to everyone who's tuning in. And I love that you guys have come up with an alternative name for POAPs, which is a clumsy acronym. So 𝗬𝗏 works much, much better. I love that. And good luck to everyone looking to pick up one of those 𝗬𝗏s today. So yeah, I'm Ben. I'm one of the co-founders of DeFi. My background is pretty varied. I've been in business coming up 20 years now. I started off in the sports management area. So I started working for a large American company called IMG, doing everything from sponsorship management, talent agency stuff, and yeah, really cutting my teeth, building partnerships with global brands. And so, yeah, my whole career has really been about sort of commercial partnerships and so on. My last venture before we went to DeFi was a Web2 business called District. And District is where me and one of the other co-founders, Michael, who's the CTO, met. And yeah, we built a really fantastic business there. It was Web2, but it was all about motivating people to be active through exploration. And so building a lot of really awesome mobile apps, but also building commercial partnerships with some of the biggest brands in the world. And so I have been kind of in the crypto space personally since 2017. I first got really, really excited about Ethereum and the idea of building a general purpose blockchain. And that kind of caused me to go down the rabbit hole and really start to, in my spare time, sort of start to observe what was going on. And when the opportunity came up to kind of marry my experience in my earlier career, both sort of from a management and a commercial perspective, but also, experience in building apps, and to move that into Web3, it was just an opportunity that we couldn't pass up. And so, yeah, that's what led me here today. And yeah, excited to share a little bit more with you guys about what we're building at DeFi.
Perfect, and it's always our pleasure to have people like you as well on our live streams, and projects like DeFi as well on the Polkastarter Launchpad. Speaking of District, since you mentioned District, it's always interesting when people transition their, let's say, their Web2 experience into Web3, which always gives a lot of credibility. And District was by no means a small application as well. You had more than 700,000 users use the application, which is a substantial amount, considering that everyone is waiting for Web3 to hit mass adoption in general and be widely used and just an everyday thing instead of something that's waiting to happen. So in terms of experience, what do you think is the main element that helps drive this adoption or scalability as well?
I think a big part of it really comes down to, a focus on gamifying the experiences that we deliver through our apps, but also, I think a huge part of it comes down to our global partnerships. And so what we built at District is not just one app, it was really a platform. And so we kind of moved into the picks and shovels, space, which is obviously everyone in crypto understands, where we built a platform. And we then, white labeled that for a lot of big global brands who had this massive reach. And we understood pretty early on that, just going in and doing marketing in a Web2 world to grow your platform to mass adoption is really hard and really expensive. You're using those old school tools of Facebook and Instagram advertising, which are just, a huge pit of money. And so partnerships were really important, but I think understanding what the market was doing. And, we went through the COVID times, 2020 and 2021, and that was a really good experience for us. I mean, it was like most businesses, pretty dark at those times, but being able to pivot, being able to sort of shift our business from primarily B2C to B2B was a great learning experience in terms of building a business. And so I think, coming back to DeFi, the team of guys who we've built as our founding team, we've been doing this for a while. Besides Michael and myself, we have Tom, who has a very, very strong trading background, comes from the world of, private equity, hedge funds, understands trading and finance deeply. We have Brent, who joined our founding team. He's ex-AWS, has built and scaled tech businesses as well. And so I think that's one of the things which is, attractive about our project is you've got guys who've built and scaled businesses before, and being able to take those learnings and apply them into the Web3 space, I think is something pretty unique. There's definitely other projects, who are similar, but, that's definitely a strength of ours. And so, yeah, there's all kinds of sort of learnings and tricks that you learn in terms of how to build software and get it out on a global scale. But you also understand that, like, when we step into this Web3 world, we have an incredible flywheel here, and the rails on which we can build these games, with, play to own and play to earn and all those sorts of things, are just an incredible sort of step up for us. So we're loving the experience so far, and the background that we have, I think, puts us in a pretty good spot to grow DeFi into something special.
It certainly does, and you guys have an incredible talent to pull this through as well. But from what you've said in response to that question is there needs to be a lot of elements that kind of align for you to be able to scale and to exist at the right time for you to take advantage of a market opportunity. So from there, we can transition into, let's say, you need to play the narratives basically that exist at the time when you're there. So speaking of narratives, what sparked the idea of DeFi when you had District running, and why did you choose the hacking game narrative instead of a fitness-focused narrative that's mostly the norm for this type of games?
Yeah, that's a really great question. It's one that we've thought about deeply as well, and what we had previously been building, in our previous businesses was very fitness focused. We actually, the team of guys and girls who are building DeFi, we're all passionate gamers. Like, we've been gaming since, we're all little kids, like most of the people on this, watching this YouTube now. And one of the things that we want to create is, a real game. And so thinking about like labels like move to earn, we don't really see ourselves as a move to earn game. It's a game. Yes, there's the location-based element, which means that you have to go out and explore the real world. And exploring the real world is genuinely fun. That's something that we believe in deeply. But we wanted to build something that actually has like an incredibly rich story behind it. And you'll see in a lot of our materials, one of the things we talk about quite often is we want to build a game that blurs the line between the real world and the virtual world. And so there's a whole bunch of stuff behind that. But when it relates to the story itself, which is hacking, and more specifically, it's revolution. And so basically, to give your viewers a quick sort of rundown, what DeFi is all about. People who are playing the game are operatives who are joining a revolution to fight back against this evil tech corporation called Future Systems. It's set in 2048. Future Systems has basically amassed like crazy power, and everyday services have to be accessed through their Future Systems metaverse. And this is a story which is, it's not far from reality. I think we can all imagine, that actually coming true. And so it's a Robin Hood story. It's a revolution. And it's something which is super, super powerful. If we can actually tie people into the feeling that they are part of a team, that they are belonging to something which is bigger than themselves, and tell that story in a really compelling way and wrap it up in awesome gameplay, that's super powerful. I mean, like that's something that I want. That's something that a lot of people want. And so we go above and beyond. We have the game, we have the gameplay, but we also, we're producing a lot of content, videos, our web series. We'll be releasing comic strips, which are coming out soon, sort of manga style comics. And yeah, we just want to blur that line between reality and the virtual world. So that's what it's all about.
Okay, so there is 2 points I have to, we'll jump into them. But first off,
Yeah.
I just want to say that even before we started this live stream, I was speaking to Ben about me playing back in the day when I was like 14, 16. I used to play games like Uplink, Hacknet, Tech Support Unknown, all of these games putting you in the position of a rebel fighting off like a monstrous corporation trying to control your data, trying to control your privacy, all of these things, which plays perfectly into the Web3 narrative as well, because everything in Web3 is self-custody. It's not your keys, not your coins. All of these phrases, they tie in perfectly with what the message and the narrative that DeFi wants to spread across. And when you said belonging to a group of rebels trying to fight off futuristic, each player gets to represent themselves using an NFT mask, which again, it's customized, it's personalized. People feel that they're unique. So I'll jump into that, and then from there we'll go to the manga that you mentioned, because I think that's a very, again, strong point that plays in the favor of DeFi, trying to have very rich lore behind the entire game. So if you can walk us through the NFT masks and what the role is in DeFi and the gameplay element as well.
Sure. Yeah. So the DeFi app, it's currently in closed alpha. It's going to move into beta in Q3. So the DeFi app itself, when you download it, basically what you're doing is you are hacking into Future Systems metaverse. And Future Systems has all the data they know everything about you. And in order for us to hack into the Future Systems network and go out and fight back against them, we need to cover up our identity. And so the NFT masks are called virtual private masks, which is obviously a play on VPNs. And this virtual private mask is basically a tool that you use to hide your identity from Future Systems and allow you to go out and take the fight to them and hack them. So at the moment, we've released about 12,000 NFT masks. They sold out incredibly quick. That's the only way to play the game at the moment, but we'll be introducing generic and free-to-play masks in future as well. So it doesn't matter if you have one of these premium masks that has sort of increased attributes and is a better mask, or if you come and join via one of these free-to-play or generic masks, but you have to cover up your identity from Future Systems. And so that's kind of the story behind the virtual private masks.
Perfect. And just for the record as well, all of these masks are NFTs, correct? And
yes, that's right.
And those NFTs, you guys chose Polygon as your network of choice.
Yeah. So look, ultimately, this comes down to our decision to build a game first and foremost. And as you would have seen, Mustafa, with the in-app marketplace called the Black Market, which is a sort of fairly early version at the moment, but we want the ability for people to buy and to customize NFT items within the app. That's really a core part of the game. At the moment, there's masks, there's decals, which are purely aesthetic. But in future, there's going to be a whole range of in-game items, whether it become, things like weapons, battery recharges, elements for your drones, which we'll probably talk about a little bit in future as well. But the idea is that, the buying, customizing, leveling up, and selling of these NFT items should be as seamless as possible. And so for us, using a layer 2 solution was a no-brainer. And Polygon, they're one of our investors, but we chose them because we believed it was the best blockchain for us to build on at this stage. And, so far, every interaction that we've had, whether it be our sort of NFT mints, we sold out like 7,500 NFT masks in 13 minutes, and Polygon just worked beautifully and, minimal gas. And so in order to do that, we want people to be able to do these actions on the blockchain with minimal gas and it to be kind of, as seamless as possible. So super happy with our decision to go on Polygon so far.
And Polygon in general is one of the fastest growing layer 2 solutions for Ethereum at the moment. So it's a completely logical solution. And again, the main driving factor is the scalability of it as well, in terms of transaction fees, transaction time, everything really. So I'll jump to the operatives, which is probably it's again, the lore and storylines are probably what drives the success of a lot of games, even in traditional gaming market. For example, if you look at Riot Games and what they're doing with League of Legends and everything that they're doing with that universe, I think you can't take away at all like that, the entire lore and the regions and everything that they set up for that game and the characters, how they tie in together. It played a major role in the game's success over the years. And in the case of DeFi, it's the operatives and the storylines behind it as well. So can you take us into a deeper dive into it as well?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think the important thing for everyone to understand is that the DeFi narrative and story doesn't exist in a vacuum. It is a continuum. And so we have kicked off basically this multi-year story arc. And so we started in April when we launched our alpha. But that story arc is going to be a continuum which goes on for many, many years. And so, internally we have, we have writers' tools. We have a whole bunch of creative people who are coming in and working with us on this. We have a whole range of different characters who are going to explore. And one of the things that's really important for us is, let's say someone comes and joins the game in, February next year. They should be able to catch up and understand the backstory of DeFi. And so for us, things like creating our web series, creating our, our comics, which are going to be coming out soon. It's really important that they sort of exist as this reference point for people to go and see what we're doing, understand the backstory, and kind of pick up from where we are. Secondly, I think, that point that I was touching on about, creating that sense of belonging and, people feeling like they are part of a team and part of a group. I think if we can help people sort of identify with the characters in these stories that we tell, that goes a long, long way to achieving that goal. So yeah, that's something I'm really passionate about. I love storytelling and I love sort of creating ways that people can actually interact with the story. And so the web series episode 1 that we put out recently, it was basically like filled with Easter eggs. And so Easter eggs are like little clues for puzzles that need to be solved in order to unlock new things. And so you'll see in our Discord, like they go nuts when we launch these new group tasks. You get hundreds of thousands of people basically working together to find all these different clues, put it together and solve these puzzles. And so, yeah, again, it's like, it's an interactive storytelling process, which I think is really cool.
Definitely, and it's probably going to be a very big contributing factor into DeFi's success as well. And since I'll move you a bit. So now we're focusing on DeFi, and we'll move into a bit of a broader topic, which is Web3
Yes.
gaming in general. So as a gaming studio first, and as a game as well, what are the biggest challenges that you have at the moment, or you see coming at you in the near future, and how do you plan to tackle them?
Yeah, and I see the next question coming up as well on the run sheet. So I'll probably tackle them a bit in time. I mean, from a game development perspective, it's, the challenge is we want to move faster, but we also just want to develop really good software. And so, there's that constant push and pull between, wanting to move faster, but also wanting to build the game in a sustainable way. And so, yeah, we just doubled the size of our engineering team recently. So, the speed of adding new features and developing things in the roadmap will pick up significantly. I think in terms of the industry as a whole and talking about sustainability of play to earn, this isn't a unique view, but I think the biggest thing for us is really creating a game that can stand on its own 2 feet. We unashamedly, play and earn is a flywheel that we want to use to grow the game, but ultimately the game needs to be fun enough for people to play, even if earning isn't there. And so even if earning isn't there, by the way, we're not planning to take that away anytime soon. The more important thing for us is ownership. And so ownership of in-game assets, customization of in-game assets, leveling up those in-game assets, that's really what we're passionate about. And so I think, like, for the Web3 gaming space at the moment, too many awesome projects have basically, have suffered because it just becomes all about earning and extracting token and value from the ecosystem. And ultimately, that's not sustainable. I think we all understand that. And so for us, it's like staying focused on making sure that the game is incredible. You can come in as a non-crypto person and enjoy the game. You can own the assets that you have in that game and have an incredible time. So yeah, that's really what we're all about.
And honestly, I'm speaking from personal experience here. Trying out the DeFi application and DeFi game is, outside of connecting your wallet to identify the mask, there is nothing really there in the gameplay element, in the core gameplay element, that gives you any sense that you're playing a Web3 game, or interrupts your flow to sign a transaction or approve a transaction or anything at all. It's mostly just the initial verification process, and whenever you're buying something from the black market, for example. But outside of that, honestly, everything was incredibly seamless. The puzzles in game were tricky, not too tricky, but the numbers sometimes the numbers, Mason, what do they mean? So they again, it's nice puzzles and things to keep people occupied as well. And speaking of the puzzles and the drones, and because you guys, it's not a very straightforward experience as well. I'll just go off track the questions here as well. The puzzles that you guys have set up for everyone to tackle, how did you come to it? And the drone system and the EMPs, and the defense mechanisms for every hexagon, and the reasoning behind having to get out of the hexagon that you're in to debug the wallets that you managed to hack. How did you come to all of that as well?
I mean, honestly, we actually create a universe, and we've spent so many hours sitting around a whiteboard and thinking about, okay, if this was real, what could or would future systems do to try and fight back against you? And so it's got to be story first and lore first, and then the gameplay kind of gets built around that. And obviously there's a lot of sanity checking to do around making sure that the experience is actually fun. The puzzles that you see at the moment are like super early versions. So there's going to be a lot of upgrading of that experience. At the moment, it's kind of like hyper casual match 3 inspired stuff. A lot of our community love it. Some people find it a little bit grindy, but that's something that will continue to go. But yeah, I think one good thing that we've done is really making sure that the experience and some of the gameplay decisions link into the narrative. And it's like, okay, again, if this is 2048 and this is a reality, how do we make this actually make sense and be a logical system? So yeah, that's a common theme you'll probably hear throughout the discussions that we have. Like a lot of it is story and lore dictated.
It's definitely interesting, and I genuinely enjoyed like a completely unbiased personal opinion here. I genuinely enjoyed the experience as well while playing
Nice.
it. And considering that it's a location based game, that's the label that you guys have, which again, it was very easy for me. So like our team is international, like the Polkastarter team is everywhere, and we have people across several countries, and all of us were able to use it. And the map that you play on is your map. It's actually your city. So
Yes.
how does the location based gameplay affect the gameplay loop positively? Like, how does it affect DeFi's experience positively?
Yeah. I'm such I'm a nerd and I'm a fan for location-based games. Like, I just think that if you can match gameplay with real-world exploration, like, that's absolute magic. And, we all played Ingress and Pokemon Go and those sorts of things. But I think we can take it a step further. And when you think about what location-based games actually give us the freedom to do and, customize different experiences, customize different missions based on geography, that's something which is huge. It also opens up a lot of opportunities for marketing partnerships or commercial partnerships as well. And so, yeah, at the moment, I mean, like, the most important thing for us when we launched our alpha was it's available globally. So it doesn't matter if you're in Dubai or, countryside in Japan or, anywhere else, you can open the app and you will have an experience that you can go out there and do. But we've kind of just scratched the surface of what's possible from a location-based game. One of the things which is coming is, a little bit more of like collaborative async gaming as well. And so one of the things which is launching is the ability for people to create their own personalized drones. And so at the moment, you actually have to go out on foot or on your bicycle and go out and explore the real world. As we move into August and September, people will be able to start to build their own drones. And these drones are programmable. They can go out and complete tasks on your behalf. And it's part of our effort to make sure that the game is playable, whether or not you can leave the house and walk for an hour, or if you're, laying in bed and, or, on the bus or at university or whatever it may be. And so that really opens up a whole nother world for us. Things like drone battles, first-person shooter style experiences where, this becomes like a really rich gameplay experience. And, different people can craft their gameplay experience depending on what they, what suits their lifestyle and what suits their desires as well. So, like I said at the start, the problem is just developing all this stuff as fast as possible. But, we're working on that pretty hard.
And I'll admit to a guilt that I did while playing the game is I played the first day in bed. Luckily, in my home, for some reason, the hexagon line was literally splitting my bedroom and the living room in half. So what I did was I was in two hexagons at the same time. So I finished my bed area, whatever was available to me on that specific area.
Yeah.
I just hacked one wallet because I'm not going to go further than that. I hacked the wallet next to me, and then I just moved over to the couch in the living room and just hacked the next hexagon.
Nice,
but on the second day, I moved around a bit. So again, it's
nice.
It's a very catchy and it's a very gripping game, especially with the narrative and the storylines as well. And speaking of developing fast, we'll jump into the roadmap question. And again, it's a very typical question for Web3 projects is, what is your roadmap? What do you guys have coming up, especially considering your IDO is just in a couple of days?
Yep.
So the token is going to be live, and the masks, like you said, there's already 12,000 masks minted, and the game is available, and like the game is ready to go. So everything is set up, honestly, and I wish you the best of success. Everything is set up for you to succeed. But again, it's more of a long-term vision. So what is DeFi's roadmap specifically?
Yeah, cool. I mean, like I said, I think there's a couple of big things which are coming down the pipe very, very soon. And so one of the things you may have encountered when you're out and playing the game is that Future Systems has these drones which will go out and they will basically go out and collect the wallets that you hack. And so they basically are trying to stop you from going and hacking and stealing their F-coin. In a couple of days, there's going to be a new type of Future Systems drone which is launched. And this one is a far more dangerous game. It's a very, very serious antagonist in the game. And so unlike in other sort of move to earn projects where you just move and then you earn, this is really going to add a new element in where you're going to have to create a lot more strategy in terms of how you go out and play the game, because there's going to be these hunter drones which will actually come and catch you and fine you. Along with that goes a new set of weapons as well. So there's an EMP weapon which is going to be released before the IDO. And that's something which is purchasable in-app, but it's a way that you can take down these drones and ensure that your F-coin balance doesn't get deducted by the Future Systems drones. So yeah, that's a big feature which is going out soon. We've just been playtesting it over the last couple of days. It's pretty crazy in terms of like how much it changes the game for the better. Post IDO and IEO, we're going to be launching our free-to-play pathways and our beta app. So this is going to allow us to onboard a lot of new people, a lot of non-crypto people as well. So that's a very, very big one. And as I mentioned in August, we're also going to be building out or releasing the ability for people to start to build out their own personal drones. And so as we get through Q3 and into Q4, we have what we see as a pretty complete game loop where we have these different gameplay modes. And then towards the end of the year, we're going to add in like our drone battle mode, tournament mode, PvP, with a whole bunch of different experiences around that as well. So yeah, it's a lot to do in not much time, but yeah, the team is up for it.
When you said PvP, instantly what popped in my head is Watch Dogs, probably. The PvP mode was very interesting. Hopefully it will play in a very similar way in DeFi as well. Just lurking around someone else's session whenever they're off guard and trying to hack their wallet and take away their earnings. So again, PvP element is going to definitely be a big interest. And hopefully within the next couple of months, people need to keep an eye on DeFi as well. Potentially there might be Polkastarter custom skin or something like that, potentially. Nice. And in terms of the token utility, which again is a very typical question for the DeFi token. There is the F-coin token and there is the DeFi token. F-coin isn't really a token; it's an in-game currency mostly.
Correct.
So what do people do with each? If you can explain the differences to everyone, and what gives DeFi its value?
Sure. So yeah, F-coin is basically an in-game point system. It's not a cryptographic token at this stage. Basically, what people do is you go out and you hack these Future Systems towers, steal their F-coin, and then you pledge it to the revolution in return for DeFi tokens. So that's how you earn in-game. DeFi tokens are really a utility token at this stage. In terms of like it becoming a governance token, it's something that we're working towards, but you know, we take a fairly conservative approach to our DAO and our governance models as well. We don't want to promise people that it's we're going to have a fully fledged DAO before we get our game loop all the way set up. So in terms of what the DeFi token does in terms of its utility, it is the token for purchasing all of the in-game consumables. So whether that be things like weapons, battery recharges, customizations, and leveling up various elements of the NFT masks. So one of the things with the NFT masks is they have degrading batteries, which need to be upgraded from time to time. Also, all of our future NFT masks will have to be purchased using DeFi tokens. And so, yeah, we don't raise any more money from future NFT mints. It's all done using DeFi tokens, whether that's purchased, on a decentralized exchange, a central exchange, or earned in-game as well. And so for us, it's about adding a whole bunch more utility. In the medium term, one of the things that we are doubling down on is our creators platform. And so one of the things that people have been able to do with our latest NFT mints is actually customize these dynamic NFTs. And so you go and you mint one of these masks, and you can then buy different decals and different aesthetic items which you can apply to these masks in order to customize it and make it your own. That's kind of like step one for us in terms of the creators platform. In future, people will be able to create experiences. So, create user-generated content, user-generated missions and tournaments, but also be able to create user-generated in-game assets as well, which is quite a complex thing to achieve. And there's a whole bunch of work going into that. But essentially what we want to do is empower the community and our players to kind of harness their creativity, create these in-game items, and the DeFi token is going to be the thing which is powering that as well. So we've got big plans for how we create really effective utility for the token. At launch, we've got a few really good mechanisms in place, but there's going to be a lot more which gets added in future.
So in terms of all of the in-game transactions as well, because like you said, there is a lot of utility to the DeFi token that people need the token for, especially when they want to, let's say, progress faster or progress further in DeFi's storyline and power up their masks and level up their NFTs and everything. Is there any percentage of these transactions that will be burned or taken away from the supply, for example?
Yeah, and there will be, sorry, I think I just got a little bit of an echo there. Yeah, these tokens will go back into the treasury when they're spent and will be used for additional gameplay rewards in future. There's also the potential that we will have a burning mechanism in future. That's not well defined at the moment, and so it's something that we probably need to work on a little bit more.
Perfect. And one final question before we go to the community questions. But before that, I'll tell everyone the keyword, the password for, since it's a hacking game and that's a hacking theme, we'll call it a password. The keyword for today's live stream is revolution. If you want to claim the oath, again, it's revolution. I'll spell it out: REVOLUTION, revolution. So if you want to fill it in the Google form and submit, please go ahead. We'll close off the interview with one final question, and then we'll go into the community questions quickly. So the final question is, for the tournaments and the user-generated content that you mentioned, considering that the game is location-based, will the location-based affect the tournaments? Will the tournaments be location-locked, or will it be a bit more flexible?
Yeah, we're planning on having both. And so you could have like a city-specific mission, for example, or a country-specific mission, but you could also have one which is set up to work on a global basis. And that just comes down to us sort of defining the different parameters by which these tournaments and missions can be set up. So, for example, it could be, hack a certain number of towers within this period, or it could be, collect all of these different loot boxes which are spread across Dubai, for example. So, yeah, we've actually built systems like that previously in our Web2 work, where we actually create these sort of user-generated experiences. So that's something that we have quite a bit of background in. And yeah, we'll basically allow both of those types of experiences to exist on the platform.
Perfect. And I think it's interesting because when you said tournaments and user-generated content, with a location-based, I had the urge to kind of ask if the tournaments are going to be location-based as well, because it's interesting to kind of set up a tournament in a place that you're not in, or allow everybody to participate in your tournament. Maybe even set up, this is something that you guys probably are already considering, but like setting up community clans that people are kind of belonging to as well while participating in these tournaments, which adds, again, a sense of belonging and group and all of that.
Yeah, definitely. So we call them factions. So yeah, factions will be launching soon. Yeah.
Perfect. Because again, like back in the day, like having this clan tag in front of your name meant everything.
Definitely.
So we'll jump into the community question.
Sure.
We'll take Alex's question. Will players be able to influence the improvement of the game with their feedback?
Yeah, definitely. So that's something which is actually already happening at the moment. So if you jump into our Discord server, we have a suggestions channel there. We've actually implemented more than 10 different suggestions from our community so far. So everything from UI improvements to actual gameplay improvements. So yeah, I'd ask everyone to play the game, jump into Discord and share some ideas. And we read it every single day, and we'll definitely act on it if it's a actionable idea.
Perfect. The second question comes from Biru. If you can tell us about the current and future mask types and how the value of the mask will be preserved.
Yeah, so look, the premium masks, we call them premium masks because they're, you have to pay 160 Matic to mint one of these, which is a significant amount of money. They have the best earning characteristics of any of the masks which have been released or will be released. And the primary mechanic that we use to do that is battery degradation. And so, as you would have noticed when you're going out and playing, energy is basically the lifeblood of your gameplay experience. So you need energy every time you go out and hack a tower, steal a wallet, or any of these other actions as well. And so the premium masks will have the most powerful battery packs, requiring the least amount of maintenance and upgrading. The free-to-play and future masks will have a more rapidly degrading battery. We work really hard to make sure that we're not creating a pay-to-win type environment, but at the same time, we want to make sure that we honor our early adopters and make sure that those masks which exist at the moment will remain basically the top of all of the masks that exist.
It's a form of rewarding people who supported you early on in the journey, because again, your token isn't even out yet, and you guys already have a solid user base and a solid community as well supporting you. So that's definitely a strong point. Before we jump into the third community question, I'll give a reminder to the password for the Google form for those who want to submit for the oath claim. Again, the password is revolution, REVOLUTION. The third question comes from BB Danny Bear. Can you elaborate more on the DAO concept and how it will influence the future direction of DeFi?
Yeah, so like I said before, we're pretty, we take a bit of a slow approach with the DAO. Like at the end of the day, we want to make sure that we build this right and that, we really don't sort of overpromise and under-deliver with what the DAO is going to be able to do. One of the early concepts and one of the things that we will implement first for the DAO is starting to give the community, the holders of certain NFTs and also of our tokens, the ability to start to have some impact on creative decisions and like guided creative decisions. And so the web series that we launched, Operatives, that's a multi-episode series. So we'll have hopefully tens, if not, up into 20, 30, 40, 50 of these episodes, we're going to give members of or holders of the token the ability to kind of choose which direction we explore next with our storytelling. And so that's one early thing. So we'll be releasing a Creators Pass NFT, which is the ability for people to be a part of these creative decisions. As we also launch out like the creators platform and give people the ability to create in-game assets and to list on our marketplace, there will be obviously quality control aspect of that as well. And so our DAO will be involved in making sure that the assets that actually people submit are voted on, and making sure that there's a high quality of things which are going through. So that's kind of where we're at with the DAO at the moment. I think the next 6 to 12 months are going to be really interesting to observe what's going on in the space of DAOs. Like it's been crazy. Like there's some great success stories. There's obviously some some flame outs as well. And yeah, we just want to get it right, because I think once you set the DAO up, that's it. It's very, very hard to put the genie back in the bottle. And so yeah, we're very thoughtful about how we can set this up and make it a success for the long term.
DAOs are a bit of a sensitive topic, because again, sometimes it gives power to the people, which it's probably everything that DeFi stands for in terms of the entire concept and the storyline as well. But at the same time, some decisions are always better made by the people in charge, or the people that know the entire backstory. But DAOs are very strong in terms of, let's say, when you said like the creator programs and deciding the direction of the storyline, deciding certain characters, or like assisting in that decision-making process, DAOs enable communities to be involved in that process in a way that we've never seen before in the traditional gaming space, or in traditional space in general, even outside of the gaming industry. We'll jump into the fourth question, and we will probably conclude with this one. Considering it's a hacking game, I think this question specifically, it's good to close out on. This one is from DeFi. I saw an R there, I swear. DeFi Office. What defense and protection advantages does your project have that you can safely participate in the server? Or how can we make sure that the project is safe from hackers in terms of assets that they hold and interacting with the application in general?
Yeah, look, I don't want to give away all our secrets. Obviously, OPSEC is pretty important. So yeah, I think one of the things I can share is all of our smart contracts are audited by the best in the business when it comes to smart contract auditing. There's a huge amount of work that goes into security behind the scenes, and it is something that we're literally thinking about every single day. I think also what I would say is that it's really important for all of our players and all of our community to take their security very, very seriously as well. There's so much that we can do as a project, and then there's really what our community can do to protect themselves as well. Because this, like Twitter, how fast are they to react to a scam page that goes up for Polkastarter? I mean, it could take days, and there's obviously endless amounts of, security threats that come up. And I think the things that we do, making sure that we publish our official links, and making sure that people have access to them. It's kind of, there's security on our side, which, like I said, I don't want to give away too many of our secrets, but, I think the onus going onto the community to make sure that they're double checking everything. And if something looks like it's too good to be true, it usually is in this space.
Exactly. I was gonna say, I hope my mic was muted, but it probably is. I'll conclude the live stream with I'll take one more community question, but this one I'll answer it for you. How have you been this one? If the secret word is revolution, when should we expect the revolution? Will it be right after the launch of the game, or gradually or in ascending order. I think when a revolution starts, it doesn't end till it achieves its goals. So I think DeFi here will do the same. I think you guys are not stopping anytime soon until you achieve everything that you have set out and said here in the interview, and even laid out in your roadmap and all the other public documents and information that you guys have on the project as well. And I just wanted to conclude the interview with thanking you, Ben, for being on here as well. And I genuinely enjoyed speaking to you. In like, just again, those games that I played back in the day, they like DeFi instantly sparked a lot of that nostalgia. And this, again, when people get their hands on the game, they're going to be impressed of how gripping the game is and how strong the storyline is. So I wish you the best of success, and this will be the end of the live stream, but 2 final things to remind everyone of. Number 1, the password one last time, and third time is revolution, REVOLUTION. And of course, don't forget that the allow list for DeFi's IDO on the Polkastarter Launchpad closes on August 11. So you need to check your emails, hurry up, and get going. You don't want to miss this. Any closing words, Ben?
Thanks, man. I really enjoyed this chat. Love working with you guys at Polkastarter, and yeah, looking forward to future collaborations. Thank you, man.
Perfect. Same here. Thank you, Ben.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.